Good afternoon. I'm here in the Église Sainte-Thérèse in Hirson, a place that I have come to call my artistic home. This idea of home is one which, for us musicians, has many different meanings. For the musician's profession has always been associated with a great deal of traveling. I had a thought to make an exploration about the different meditations that have come into the minds of composers throughout history on the subject of traveling and on the subject of what one thought during travels. It was no surprise to find a great wealth of literature with this as a starting point. It then seemed to me worthwhile and a fun project to make a program out of some of my favorite such pieces. The body of work which immediately comes to mind is that of Franz Liszt, The Years of Pilgrimage, for example. From their beginnings in the so-called Traveler's Album, with simple, charming depictions of things encountered or feelings felt during voyages, it develops into the embodiment of a metaphysical journey, which is the subject of the third year of pilgrimage. Another piece on the program is Johann Sebastian Bach's famous contribution to program music for the keyboard on the departure of his beloved brother. This is a piece which I find particularly interesting because it is one of the few examples we have of Bach's engagement with everyday emotions. In his cantatas, where his musical personality is most apparent and immediate to us, it is mostly in an engagement with things that are beyond the everyday, or, in the one exception, with exceptionally clumsy farmers. I'd like to share a few thoughts about a piece whose connection with this theme of travel, of journey, may not be quite so apparent. It is the variations on the tune Walsingham by William Byrd. William Byrd, as we know, was a Catholic composer at a time and in a social situation where being Catholic was no easy matter. It has been discovered and shown that his music was influenced by this environment of which he was a part. We come across this most obviously in the texts of his consort songs. The Walsingham tune was, in his time, a tune that had many possible meanings. The Walsingham tune was a tune that was originally associated with the pilgrimage to Walsingham, a monument of great importance to the Catholic faith. As in the 1530s this was destroyed, the tune became secularized, and it became something such as a love ballad or a popular song. It was therefore the ideal choice of subject for William Byrd to send a hidden message through his variations upon this tune. Already at the beginning of the piece, we can see that it is not to the new claimed meaning of the tune that William Byrd is alluding, but rather it is treated in a way that suggests religious practice, that is to say, the old meaning of the tune, with the alternation between solo and chorus. This then develops into a dignified procession. It is interesting to compare William Byrd's Walsingham variations with those of John Bull, who was possibly as much of a different type of musician from William Byrd as one possibly could be in that time. In William Byrd's variations, one does not ever go away from this sense of the dignity of a procession. It is a procession which is presented in such a way that we see it from close and from afar. It is really about the thoughts of those that are taking part in this procession, which then combine to make a universal image. Even in the moments of greatest animation, we never forget this open, universal view of the pilgrim whose entire thought world is permeated by this one idea. Rather, the animation expresses itself in determination, resolution, and conviction. I would now like to pass to the culmination of this piece, which makes it, in my opinion, into one of the highlights of the keyboard literature. After a series of close-ups, where we're dealing more with the emotions of a person, we are going back to this wide-angle view of a procession and to the engagement of the listener's emotion with the emotion of a scene. And here there's a new idea which comes to take precedence throughout the whole musical fabric. It is made by appending two notes to the start of the Walsingham tune. This comes to symbolize an immutable element in the procession. And we have this one variation where we realize that our view has suddenly been expanded past what we thought was possible. Notice that the Walsingham tune is always present as a kind of leading line through it, which is then surrounded by all these iterations of the pilgrimage procession motive, which to me is a very suggestive image of the one line of the procession surrounded by individual souls with a purpose. This builds up into the final variation, where a discant soars above the procession, above the thoughts of the individual, as if giving one meaning to the whole thing.